York's only local show is back on its new home on York's only local station.
Guess who's back again.
This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
I'm back.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And a very happy Wednesday morning to you, the one day after the election results. One day after the Revs with a mighty comeback in the last two innings to win by one last night. 2 innings after I left. I left after the seventh inning. I think it was me. I think it was my fault, Mark, that we were down. And I'm going to take some full responsibility. You ever hear people do that? When someone wins or loses and they think, well, they had something to do with it.
There was a study that was done.
Yeah.
And I think, if I remember correctly, it was around 40%, a little bit more than that. Around 40% of people who were asked believe that there's something that they do that causes their favorite team to win or lose.
Yeah, I know. And it's kind of stupid when you think about it. But,
absolutely.
But, there are people who say, or people that wear certain things during a rally. I mean, look at the rally hats that people wear in dugouts, for heaven's sake. Mm-hmm. So you got all that going for you. I am Gary Sutton, Mark McKenzie here on a Wednesday morning here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK, all brought to you by Barley Snyder Law Firm. You can find more about them at barley.com. They are a law firm that has a wide range of things that they can do for you, and they've got 130 different lawyers in Pennsylvania and Maryland ready to help you, your business, to do well and to take care of some of those complicated kinds of things that come up from time to time. We've got a lot to do today. We got a lot on the show, a lot of guests this morning. My goodness, it's almost hard to believe, Mark, how much we have here today. But one of the things, and this is kind of an interesting one. I had lunch with a friend of mine, or actually breakfast with a friend of mine yesterday, and we were talking, and he said to me, we were just talking about the show. He said, "What do you think of the show?" I said, I like it. I think we're having fun with it, and we're doing a lot of stuff." He said, we're talking about the Main Street of America in York County that I often use as a moniker for our show. He said, "What's that mean? What's that mean?" And I said, "Well, it means like the, regular people, their opinions and how they see things and all of that." And he said, "You should ask people about how they see the show." And I said, "That's a pretty cool idea." And so, because we don't really worry too much about that, and we love what people think. And so I'm asking you today. So there you go, right on the Facebook page at Gary Sutton Show. And
so what is the question?
I said, I often call this show the Main Street of America in York County. He thought that was too wordy. So
I agree.
The question, if you give the show a description as you listen to it, what would you call it? And by the way, be serious on this. For any of you trolls out there who are under your bridge and coming out this morning, don't.
So you're flipping it around, though.
Yeah, I'm asking people. I'm putting the pressure on them, and I might just use it. I might just use it. So I'm not that. I'm pretty confident in ourselves. I don't really worry too much. If someone has a better idea on that, we love to hear it, and that's kind of what we're about.
Yeah, this is not rocket science.
No. Conversation, examination, and I'd like to hear how people view that. Yeah, I'm just one of those things this morning. So I'm throwing it out there. By the way, I'll be having lunch at Yanni's today, and you're welcome to join me at 12 o'clock. That's out of 310 Town Center Drive at West Manchester Town Center Shopping Center out there at Route 30, Laux Road.
Yeah, if you need something to brighten the day, you need something on your schedule.
Yeah.
Put it on your calendar.
Exactly. And, come out. What could be brighter than seeing my happy face and, all of that? You didn't say anything about that. You didn't react. Well, okay.
I don't know how happy you'll be at, I know how happy you are now.
Well, so I'm always happy every day.
I don't know if it gets better.
Yeah. I was talking with two people at a party last night, an election party. I left the game, went to an election party last night, and I was talking to these two people, and two ladies. I say young ladies because I tell you, as you get older, everyone looks younger.
Did you call him kid?
I didn't call them. Well, I did. I might have called the one kid. She's been a lawyer for 15 years. I'm calling her kid. I'm sure she was really impressed.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Boomer.
Way to go. Thanks. Anyway, but yeah. So I'm talking to him, and I said something about the anniversary is coming up. My wife's my anniversary, and it's coming up in May and May 29th. So somehow we got on this subject of, I said, well, what should I get her? It's our 22nd anniversary, actually. And they said, I said, I'd like to write notes to her. And they said, well, go to, get her a bag. Get her a bag. And I said, what kind of bag? And they said, I forget what the name was. What's the really name for a really expensive bag for women?
Yeah.
And I should know it. It's very common. Very common.
Yes, I know.
So I said, well, how much is it? They go, well, $3 to $5. And I said, $300 to $500. And they laughed at me.
Oh.
$3,000 to $5,000.
Oh, well, wait, maybe it's not the one I thought.
No.
Gucci? I don't know.
It was like Gucci, but it wasn't Gucci. But it was like Gucci. And they showed me the bags they had. And they were identical bags. They were these black leather. And, oh, God, it starts
Michael Kors.
Starts with an S, I think. Starts with an S.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
Kate Spade?
No, keep going. We'll come up with it. We'll come up. Talk amongst yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, so I... so I said yes, and after I picked myself up off the floor, and I said I love my wife a lot, and I would spend that money, but my wife is like more low key, So what was the name of the bag?
Louis Vuitton.
No.
Dior. Givenchy.
No, but all in that line.
Yes.
Yeah, in that line.
Saint Laurent.
No, gosh darn, I have to think about it. I'll know it when I hear it.
Okay.
Anyway, so I was had this long conversation last night about that, which I never thought I'd get into.
Hermes?
Yeah.
Hermes? No.
No. Talk Like Yoda Day.
Is it really?
It's Talk Like Yoda Day. I thought we had that this year already.
No,
No. Sadly, no, we haven't.
Remember Dennis Edwards?
Yes.
He could talk
He could talk like Yoda.
He could.
Can you imagine that? Sir, what can you do? Well, I can talk like Yoda.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, I can.
Oh, my. Yeah, it was a movie. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a movie. Okay, get over it. It's also National Waiters and Waitresses Day. And, of course, that with news of President Trump, getting codified, the idea of you're not going to tax, tips. So that's a good one. 2 days to Memorial Day weekend, which is rolling down now. And, by the way, we will have off next Monday. Our first day off on this new job in terms of a holiday. So we will have off next Monday. So, prepare yourself. Gird yourself. If you need some extra counseling to get ready for that, fine. 25 days to Father's Day. That's coming up. And I'm sure we have a plethora of other days out there, too. Jeffrey Dahmer's birthday, which we're not going to be celebrating today. I just saw that this morning as I was going through things. Who cares? Bad guy. Michael Gearin with us this morning at 6:35. We got Jeffrey Coleman at 7:05.
Prada?
Not Prada. Again, all in that same area.
Marc Jacobs.
Yeah.
Ferragamo.
No. John from Yanni's is going to be with us today. We have Tim Barker, who just won the district attorney's race last night in the election. York County. He'll be with us this morning, the district attorney here in York County.
Coach.
Not a coach, no. You said
it wasn't coach?
No, it wasn't coach. No. Let's see what else as I keep on going through this. Ryan Fox, Houston Fox Financial Advisory Services. We'll take a look at the markets. Steve Shetter on pests, the kind that, like ants and things like that.
Tory Burch?
No. Aaron Anderson from Logos Academy will be with us this morning as well, and all of that here on the show.
Stella McCartney?
No.
That was the only other S one here.
Yeah, see, I can't.
Betsy Johnson, Hobo.
No, yeah. I've got to look this up.
You do have to look it up.
It's driving me crazy.
It's also Emergency Medical Services Day. Hope you don't need that.
And again, to the EMTs out there, thank you for what you do. You
National. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
National Memo Day.
National Memo. I hate memos. I am the most anti-memo guy that you know. And especially group memos. Do you ever see these gutless bosses who send out group memos when everybody knows it's one person? and they send out a group memo. To whom it may concern, we whoever's been doing fish in the microwave each day, please, not to whoever.
Refrain.
It says all of you stop using it. Well, all of us aren't doing it. There's always one idiot that's doing fish in the microwave, and go tell him. That's what you do as a boss. You have the chutzpah and the vertebrae to go tell them. Don't just, send out we used to have a guy that sat in for a while who's our program director on a previous station. He wasn't there. He's now just a talk show host, but he was and I shouldn't say just. He is a talk show host now, but he was that kind of demeans what we're doing. He was chosen to be a program director, kind of like the guy that's standing in right now for Brandon Hyde. He's like a stand-in manager. He's a stand-in program director. Well, he started sending these things out, and I used to go complain every time. And he said, well, I'm going to keep sending it out. I said, good, I'm going to keep complaining. I said, I'll keep coming to see. I said, if you don't, if you have somebody who's doing something wrong, go see them. I don't know how many other people out there have the same thing. Feel free to tell me about it, because 833-478-4729 on our text. I'd love to hear it, because I am so sick of those kind of bosses who hide behind those. Yeah, I know. I'm on a tangent. I'm on a run.
Well, no, I'm saying maybe he was using it as a teaching moment.
Gutless.
To say, in case you were thinking about putting fish in the microwave, don't do it.
Most of us don't even think about that because we have consideration for others.
Well, right, but obviously there's the exception.
That one. And so go talk to the exception. Don't talk to me about it. And that's what I tell them.
Well, but then you're figuring if there is an exception, maybe there are other people. So it just
if I am wrong, come see me. Tell me that I screwed up. I have no problem with that. But don't be giving me grief about other people, because here's the problem. I'm the guy that always thinks it was me.
Oh.
And now, not in the fish thing, but I'm just saying, I'm the guy some of you, and they put out this ethereal, open-ended, you might have thought about, and I go, ooh. And then is it me, Lord? Is it me? That kind of, yeah. So I'm into one of those. I always, and I try to be very conscientious. Now, we're kind of our own boss here, so we don't have to worry about that as much.
We also don't have a microwave.
And Daryl doesn't scare us that hard. I mean, Daryl's tough, but he's not.
There is no microwave in here.
There is no microwave in here.
Along with several other
things that there are not.
It's World Orienteering Day.
Orienteering?
Yeah. Do you know what it's kind of I guess it's
I've never heard of that.
I guess it's a sport.
Orienteering.
Basically, you're using, I think some people use GPS on their phones.
Okay.
Old school will use just compass.
Oh.
And, they orienteer their way.
To orient yourself to where you're going. Okay,
yes. And it's also end of the world or rapture party day.
Good. That's swell. That doesn't sound too desperate.
That's, if things aren't going well.
Yeah. Have a party. Maybe that's it.
Could be.
We'll take a break. We'll come back with more at 6:17 here.
What happened last night at the game? You're going to hear it.
Oh, yeah. Because when I left at the seventh inning, it was down. They were down 6-2 were the Revs. 6-2. I checked right after I got out of this party, and that was not the final score. We'll tell you all about it here on the Gary Sutton Show. Back after this.
Swing and a line drive, base hit to left. Tostado scores. Here comes Costas. He scores. Dives across the plate. And this game is tied 6-6 here in the bottom of the 8th inning. And a swing and a looper toward the line and right. Wilson is over. He makes the catch. Miller tags from third. Here's the throw. He scores! And this game's over! Brandon Lewis, the walk-off sac fly, and the Revs have done it again. Their 3rd win this year, coming back from down at least 4.
Unbelievable. So I'm here through 7 innings last night. I had to go to a election party. So I said to Darryl, do you mind if I leave after the 7th inning? He goes, no problem. So I did my normal 2 innings play-by-play on 4 and 5. Stuck around through 7. Looked like the Revs were kind of having one of those nights. They were down 6-2. So I leave after the 7th inning. And I didn't put the game on for some reason. I had about a 10-minute drive to this party. And so, the Revs come back. The last 2 innings is score 4 runs in the 8th to tie it up and score a 5th run in the 9th, as you heard right there, to finish off Southern Maryland. That's our first win over Southern Maryland this year. We lost 3 in a row last week before we won 3 in a row this weekend. And so they got that off their back. This guy was pitching for them last night at the beginning, was unbelievable. He was really, really good. And they finally got him out of there in the 7th inning and got someone else. And I said to Darryl, I said, anything else is better than that guy, because that guy was mowing us down. But,
So they're proving to be resilient.
They are resilient. They do come back. They've got good hitters, pretty good pitching, and they're now in first place, I think, by 3 games this morning in the Atlantic League over Staten Island, the Ferry Hawks, by the way, which I'm still trying to get used to that name.
Is that such a thing?
I don't even know.
You know what? Let me look it up. What is it? What is it? Ferry Hawk?
Ferry Hawks. Well, the Staten Island Ferry is
right,
a big deal, but there's not hawks flying around the ferry all day long, and why would there be? I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah, it doesn't look like. I mean, it mentions the name of the team, but it doesn't. I don't see any like bird site or something.
Right, exactly. Right. So I don't know. By the way, today is National Waitstaff Day, and I saw the dumbest thing this morning, which I couldn't keep my hands off of. If you hit up a restaurant today, you better leave a half-decent tip, because it is Happy National Waitstaff Day. It's supposed to honor servers, bartenders, and baristas and thank them for dealing with our annoying requests. Like, can you make the pasta gluten-free? Anyway, if you're out eating pasta, forget the gluten-free stuff, please. You might not want, and someone's like, well, I have to have gluten-free. Okay, fine. All right, I don't want to belabor the point, but it's still obnoxious. But anyway, you might not want to tip after hearing some of these stats, though. BuzzFeed recently polled thousands of current and former servers and asked some fun questions, including, have you ever retaliated against a rude customer? Here's some of the questions they asked. Number 1, have you ever eaten food off a customer's plate?
Oh, my.
Have you ever seen like a extra, pizza thing next to you and thought, wonder how I could get that? And I wonder if has anyone ever thought that as a customer? So now imagine.
Not for pizza, though.
Well,
maybe something like crab leg or.
Okay.
They didn't eat or lobster.
Yeah, lobster.
It's like, they didn't eat the claw.
So they asked us of the servers, and 32% said yes, they've eaten food off. So that's 1 out of 3. Okay. Have you ever dated or hooked up with a cook? 25% said yes. Yeah. That doesn't sound like that.
It doesn't sound
that one
high.
Doesn't awe me at all. Have you ever come into work sick or hungover? 81% have done it. 81%. Wow. So if you're looking,
I'm sure most of it's sick.
Well, right. I mean, most of it. And
I would hope.
Whatever. Yeah. Let's see. Have you ever finished a customer's alcoholic beverage? Only 6% said yes.
That's right.
Have you ever given someone free food or a free drink because you thought they were cute? 30% said yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I can believe that.
All right. Have you ever snuck off to the bathroom just to get a break? 88% said yes, they have. I mean, who hasn't?
Understandable.
And have you ever retaliated against a rude customer? Half of servers said they've retaliated in some way. They didn't say how. Thank God.
Oh, they should have asked that question.
Yeah, exactly. How did you do
how?
it? Like,
I snuck gluten in their pasta.
That's exactly right. There it is.
Hey,
what else do we have going on?
Well, speaking of food, every day I feel like a farmer. I'm going through the fields of information,
Yes.
looking for the little nuggets that I think, will brighten someone's day.
Reaping the harvest.
Yes, exactly. And I think this story, I love this story, and for obvious reasons, I think.
Wieners, start your engines. Ahead of Sunday's Indianapolis 500 on Fox TV, Friday, the first of its kind Weenie 500 race will happen. It's a competition between 6 Oscar Mayer Wienermobiles, scheduled for 2 p.m. Eastern Time, part of the annual Carb Day festivities. Which Wienermobile will pack the most mustard in its engine? Who will relish victory? Who will play catch-up? Each vehicle represents a regional choice hot dog, from the New York dog to the Chicago dog, the Chili dog, Slaw dog, Seattle dog, and Sonoran dog. The Weenie 500 will get streamed Friday on the Fox Sports app. Highlights to air on Fox TV Sunday. Pre-race coverage starts 12 noon Eastern. Jared Max, Fox News.
What's really good about this is they say it will include custom hot dogger racing suits and a finish line celebration in the Wieners Circle. The Wieners Circle. The Winner Circle. There'll be a condiment spray and a hot dog for the champion, which sounds interesting to say the least. So that's going to happen Friday at 2 p.m.
Yes.
It'll stream live on the Fox Sports app. Shame on you.
Well, when you think about, Nathan's gets 4th of July with the hot dog eating contest, and here's another major hot dog brand trying to figure out what to do. I think this is great.
Well, and also with the Indy 500 coming up this weekend out there, that's where they're doing this. You can go to @IndyCar on Fox social media accounts and actually follow this ridiculousness.
No.
But there you go. Now, here's a question. Will there be ketchup on any of those? Those hot dogs. Yeah, I mean, you have the 6 different ones. Yeah, and you'll be watching that carefully, I'm sure.
That's exactly right.
I'm going to be looking at just for that alone.
That's exactly right.
So I was asking people this morning on our question of the day, if it's not the main street of America in York County, what you said you've been harboring that now for a while since I've been using that. You said it's a little wordy. So what would you call us? What would it is, or would you say anything? Would you have like a little moniker after it? The Gary Sutton Show, and then blank. What would you call it?
Are you asking me?
I was asking you. I was asking rhetorically and for everybody out there, but also you, because
no, I mean you used a form of that at the old show.
I did. So, it was the Main Street of America.
Yeah. So it is, and since we're now way more hyper local focused,
right?
I think it's more appropriate the way you word it now.
How about the Gary Sutton Show, York County and beyond?
Sure.
That's not a bad.
It's not bad.
That's not real wordy. I just was thinking about
to
that.
infinity,
but I'd love
beyond.
Tell us what you think. By the way, text that. You can text it to us as well. 833-478-4729. That's 833-478-4729. Or you can go on to our Gary Sutton Show on Facebook and do it there.
So in the next half hour,
yes,
we've
got Michael Gear from the Pennsylvania Family Institute checking in. We'll see what's on his mind today. And then at 7:10, we've got Jeff Coleman. We've also got news under the radar. You've got a ton of that stuff for us. You've got today is TV show Wednesday, right?
Yes, TV show themes.
And there is a very appropriate one because of something that happened today with a death of a guy that we've heard about.
Yeah. So
all straight ahead, right here on the Gary Sutton Show, York County and beyond. I don't know. It just doesn't have that ring yet. At 6:30.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? All those nights when you've got no lights, the check is in the mail, and your little
probably one of the more iconic songs for shows. Cheers. A lot of us remember that for a long time. Well, a little sadness today as Norm has left the bar. Yeah, the Cheers star George Wendt died yesterday morning. He was 76 years old. There's no word on the cause of death. His family says he died peacefully in his sleep while at home. He played Norm on all 11 seasons of Cheers from 1982 to 1993. Norm, he played the guy that's at every bar, the know-it-all, the guy that quietly knows everything about everything, and he was interesting. He also did some Saturday Night Live stuff. He was part of the whole Dub Bears group on Saturday night. Yeah,
Dub Bears.
The role earned him more than a few drinks in real life.
Yeah, I'll bet.
He said, whenever I go out, people are always sending over a beer around for me and my friends. In addition to the free beer, George was also nominated for 6 Emmys, and it's entirely possible that his second biggest career achievement was the 1991 Superfan sketch on Saturday Night Live. You know, the Chicago guy who says, Dub Bears.
True. Yeah.
He once said it, quote, took on a life of its own. Other TV appearances included MASH, Seinfeld, The Simpsons, Hot in Cleveland, and Fresh Off the Boat. His film work included Fletch. Remember, he was a druggie on the beach in Fletch. Spice World, Dreamscape, and the 1985 horror comedy House. George was working right up until the end. In 2023, he competed on The Masked Singer and reunited with the Cheers cast to present an Emmy.
Yeah.
Oh, and he was also Jason Sudeikis' uncle. George and Jason's mother were brother and sister. Several of George's Cheers co-stars paid tribute to him. John Ratzenberger, Cliff, who played Norm's buddy. Cliff said he was heartbroken by George's death. He added that George was, quote, a true craftsman, humble, hilarious, and full of heart. Ted Danson said, quote, it's going to take me a long time to get used to this. I love you, Georgie. Kelsey Grammer said, quote, I like George a lot. He was beloved by millions. And Rhea Perlman called George, quote, the sweetest, kindest man I ever met. So, George went dead at the age of 76. Part of the decor at Cheers every single week.
Yes.
Yeah, he really was.
Really, yeah, decor is probably a better word.
Yeah, he was part of the room. So, and you know people like that. I mean, I think that's why he was so beloved, because everybody knew a George Wendt, a Norm, and if you went into the neighborhood or community bar.
And what a great, I mean, whenever he would walk in, Norm, everybody yells Norm.
Exactly. With that, we turn this morning to Michael Gear, president of the Pennsylvania Family Institute. Good morning, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing well. Have lots of memories about the TV show Cheers. Certainly remember George and Wendt and his character there, and quite a show.
Yeah, kind of a
launched a lot of careers too.
Yeah, it really did. You think of Kelsey Grammer and people like that, and all the various offshoots. But he certainly was and will be missed. A happy guy. Maybe not suggesting that the best career to have, but he was very comfortable in his own skin, and there you go. So, election day yesterday. Anything that you look at and you say, moral of the story here on primary election day? Anything you looked around last night you were surprised by?
Well, just it was pretty light turnout from everything that I'm looking at.
It was
not any big surprises. I look at the city of Pittsburgh mayoral race is one that probably didn't make a lot of people's radar screen out in this area, but even just looking at it, you think about the population of Pittsburgh, which is a pretty large city, and the Democrat primary ultimately is what chooses the mayor, and the challenger in that race ended up defeating Ed Gainey, the current mayor in that primary, and I think a total of maybe 59,000 people voted in that Democrat primary, which means those are the people that have picked the mayor.
Right.
And when we see the way cities are going, places like Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and San Francisco and others, with not great governance, you would think that the people might want to get more interested and engaged in choosing who their elected officials are. So that's one of the noteworthy things. But really, and then there were school board races and the judicial races and things, and again, light turnout. These off-year elections don't tend to draw a lot of voters. There's not a lot of TV ads or things because not a ton of money is spent on these elections either.
I know you keep your eye on the various issues, though, that's particularly school boards. And I tell people all the time, these are the governance places where people are right there. They live right next door to you, and they're very important. So what were some of the biggest issues that you may have seen out there around the state? Because I know you look around the state more than just a lot of us look at our local race. You've seen a lot of races. What were the biggest issues that were brought up in some of the various races for a school board, for example, or for some of the local positions?
Well, some of those, even in school board races and just in the school board and school issues generally around the Commonwealth and even here in central Pennsylvania is the issue of girls' sports. There's been the back and forth in Washington, D.C. with the Biden administration that tried to change Title IX that gave women the opportunity and girls the opportunity to get advance in education, especially in the realm of sports and in higher education. And so that's been a pressing and key issue for school districts around the state. Some are resisting what's come out of Washington from the Trump administration, encouraging them to keep girls' sports for girls and boys' sports for girls and not mix it up and allow for those who identify otherwise to participate in sports. There is still some resistance to that. I think what's notable to me in the school board races and even what we're seeing going all the way up the chain to the presidency, the past presidency, is a lack of clear information that is available to the people. Oftentimes when we see, I'll just talk about York County, for example, the news coverage that's happening on school boards is so heavily biased and unfair. The York Dispatch would be one that I'll point at directly. That consistently is pushing one side, one particular viewpoint that I think is a disservice to the voters who really do care about these issues and don't have many other ways to find out that information. And that's one of the challenges that I think is happening. And then the second part of that is because of that one-sided sort of thing, we see then the distrust of the institutions, distrust of the media, with the cancer diagnosis come out again with President Biden, and then the cover-up of his mental acuity and all of those sorts of things, and the Jake Tapper book coming out and all of those things has caused people to think, number one, see many of the news sources as being biased, but number two, not giving them the full truth. And so that's one of the challenges, whether it's voting for mayor in a city or any of those situations. If we don't have a legit and honest press, we're in a challenged position as a society. Social media has taken some of that role a little bit, but even that raises questions about how trustworthy are the things that you see there.
You and I have talked about how your group is even covered here in York County, and like the Independence Law Firm, which is part of your group. And I know you've had concern about how that's being seen, because people kind of lay that out as, well, there's this I don't know if wild right group or they're way off the charts or something like that. And I thought it might be interesting this morning to talk a little bit about that too, because your Independence Law Firm is a group that you see in the newspaper, and if you just read one side of it, you think, well, what are they doing interfering? Tell people a little bit about that from your particular vantage point, because they've been part of your group for a long time. Yeah.
So we established this pro bono law center. It's called the Independence Law Center, which does a variety of things. It's won 2 cases, religious liberty cases at the United States Supreme Court, including one last year that was, or in 2023, there was a unanimous decision on an issue related to workplace and religious liberty. And so it's a very qualified group of lawyers, including one, a former Superior Court judge, high constitutional level attorneys that work for the Independence Law Center. And so many of these school districts and school boards that have wanted to do the right thing on issues like girls' sports or rights of conscience, those sorts of things, what is being presented in the classroom and giving transparency for parents, are very popular with the people and very popular with many school boards. But then we have vocal voices, and especially we're seeing it in the news media, that are consistently misreporting, number one, what happens, what these school boards are doing. They're labeling them things like radical, far-right types of things. There was just a story in the York Dispatch, I think yesterday or the day before, about actions that the West Shore School District took, West Shore School District, and as part of York County, part of Cumberland County. And it was dealing with explicit books and policies related to those sorts of things. And the York Dispatch, has a headline saying maybe Shakespeare will be banned in the school district. That's absolutely absurd, but that's the headline, and they're trying to scare people. And then at the bottom of it, they list, and here are the candidate, here are the events that are going to be happening, or here's how you can come to the school board meeting and make your voice heard. Nothing wrong with saying make your voice heard, but when they set the story up with falsehoods and scare tactics and things, it's just a disservice to the people.
And I think that's where you were talking about a little bit ago, that the idea that the media, instead of reporting something fairly, are weighing themselves in on the scale of which side they're on, and therefore you automatically are put on the defensive if you believe that, for example, the independence law firm might be doing a good thing for a district, right?
Yeah, I'm not advocating or suggesting that there should be, take our side or the other side.
Correct.
Just tell the facts. What does the policy do? But when you look at some of these stories that are written by this reporter, for his name's Meredith, almost every description of certain groups that she disagrees with, she labels as far right or anti-LGBT or whatever, these characterizations, and yet then when they quote other entities or whatever that are on their side, they don't put any label on that at all. And so I think, again, the people would be well served if you just tell what is the policy, what would the impact of it be in legitimate ways, and give the language of those kinds of policies and let the people make their decisions. And not, when you start an article by calling and this is what was in that article on the West Shore School District, that says the far-right school board in West Shore School District.
Right.
It's hard-pressed to say that a group of people that think that boys should be boys and girls should be girls and not be playing sports against each other, unfairly, are a group of far-right people. They're just common sense people, and that's where I think, things have gone off track.
And it's not the job of the news media to say that. It is the job of the news media to report it. And if you decide in your reading that somebody's far right, far left, or whatever, that's up to you. But it should be on the consumer, not on the presenter there, who parades as being the fourth estate and being the, objective presenter of the news, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there's nothing wrong with editorial pages and the opinion
Correct.
pages, as they call them in the newspaper. And everybody knows you open it up to that last page of the first section, that's the opinion page, and that's where the editorials are going to be, and the columnists and all those sort of things. Many of those newspapers, now have reporters that have come into the profession thinking they're advocates for a particular side, and they would call them, I think they would probably wear the title proudly, advocacy journalists. And that's not what people think of those newspapers. Historically, that's not what they are. And so somebody who walks up, picks up a newspaper and thinks they're going to get the unbiased or the fair story are being ill-served by some of the papers, even in this local area.
And thus, we wonder why we got to some op-ed journalism here, but that's another day. Michael,
Yep.
Thank you so much for the discussion this morning. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to next week with you, my friend. Have a great rest of this week, okay?
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you, my friend. Michael Gear, you can find him at pafamily.org. We'll take a break. We'll come right back. Mark's got news under the radar right around the corner here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. It's 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK AM.
You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension. A dimension of sound. A dimension of sight. A dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
Rod Serling and the Twilight Zone. I used to watch that every single week. By the way, the Manhattan Transfer later on turned that into a heck of a song. They used that whole thing. They did. They have check it out this morning. Maybe get a chance to play it. It was fantastic. I still listen to it a little bit, but yeah, the Manhattan Transfer
and Sci-Fi Channel they play. They do reruns of that show.
And of course, we all do that every now and then when something strange is reported to us with
yes,
who has not done
iconic.
that?
Yes,
yeah, it's very
absolutely.
iconic. Very nice. So what else do we have this morning?
So let's see. I have a couple of things I could do here. Let's talk about Tom Cruise's age.
Okay.
All right. Do we know how old Tom Cruise is?
I'm going to guess he's in his 60s, maybe his early 60s.
I'm going to look it up as well. Maybe they tell us here.
Tom Cruise says he's never stopping making action films. At the premiere of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, the 62-year-old told The Hollywood Reporter he plans to make films well into his hundreds. Final Reckoning marks Cruise's last outing as Ethan Hunt, a role he first took on in 1996 and played for nearly 30 years across 8 films.
Our lives are the sum of our choices.
Known for doing his own stunts, Cruise has clung to airplanes, jumped off rooftops, and even base jumped from a cliff on a motorcycle, which he called the most dangerous stunt of his career. Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning hits theaters Friday. Michelle Polino, Fox News.
And I'm
62.
I'm trying to figure out when I can go see it, because definitely I'm going to be buying a bucket of popcorn.
Does all of his own tricks. We talked about that last week. Yeah. And the most recent one being this thing on this airplane where they thought he had blacked out. And he does all of his own stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah. I will tell you, I don't think he's made movies that maybe aren't the greatest.
Yeah.
But I would still watch it. I mean, it's not. I can't say that he's ever made a movie that was really like one of the worst I've ever seen.
What was the one that he made where he was on the he was fighting with the Japanese shoguns?
Oh yes, the samurai.
Was it Last Samurai or Last something?
Yes, something like that.
Really,
yes.
and it was like this weird movie, but I really liked it. I thought it was really excellent. Had a nice combination of Japanese traditions and killing each other. So it was,
well, he does a lot of science fiction too,
right?
Which I happen to appreciate, and he chooses interesting stories,
right?
Where like Minority Report, where it's an interesting idea, and then you throw him in it and lots of action. I mean, you can't go wrong.
And what's the one where he's the lawyer in Memphis and The Firm?
Well, see, that
was a really good one.
Yes, and those are more traditional.
Sure.
Traditional roles,
right.
Movies. So,
he's very good in that.
You can't handle the truth. You know, all that.
And of course, Top Gun and what's the racing movie?
Well, did they make 2 of those? I think they just made 1.
Yeah, Grand Prix, was that it?
No,
not Grand Prix. What was it called?
Listen to this. 2 old guys struggle to figure out what it's the Tom Cruise racing.
Yeah. So anyway,
it was
Days of Thunder.
That's it.
Yeah, that was it. I just thought about it before.
That's great.
Yeah.
So let's talk about. Florida gets a lot of. We give them a lot of grief.
We do.
Then again, they give America a lot of grief. So it kind of works out. But I saw this story and I thought, Florida deserves, a pat on the back here, because they usually are caught doing something stupid, and it is a lesson for the rest of America. But in this particular case, there was a Florida resident who did something really good.
Andrew Smith was fishing at Pensacola Beach when a teenage girl ran up to him and told him her friend was being pulled out by the riptide and was drowning. Smith can't swim, but he had a drone for shark spotting, so he attached a flotation device to it and flew it out to her. The first time he missed, but the second time he dropped another flotation device and it was a success. He says the girl's father was effusive with praise.
He talked to me for like 5 minutes, called me his guardian angel and thanking me and stuff.
First responders say if it were not for Smith's actions, the girl would not have survived. Gary Baumgarten, Fox News.
Good job. Job well done.
Way to go. Yeah, that's absolutely right. And we resort to our very best in tough moments. That's good.
Now, here's a story. Now, this one is a tech, and I asked you, what is the search engine that you use the most? And you said
Google.
Me too. I use Google as well. And, well, there's something new.
The company which made web searching ubiquitous is now introducing AI mode. Google hopes it will redefine your searching experience by converting the long-used search box entry into a chatbot interaction. The new mode is powered by Google's forays into artificial intelligence like Gemini. While in AI mode, Google won't simply give you a list of web results, but will provide summaries with cited sources in a format Google hopes you can read easily and act upon, whether you're seeking information, hailing a ride, or buying theater tickets. And with access to your search history, it can begin to tailor and anticipate your searching needs. Eben Brown, Fox News.
I think that's something I will probably try.
I think it's helpful.
Yes.
Yeah, more information, which is just what we need, more information in a world where we're deluged with it now, right?
It's true. Hey, and one final one before the top of the hour.
Saving you money, I'm Hillary Barsky. As many teens get geared to graduate high school, it might be time to educate your college-bound child with some tips for managing their money so they don't wind up with a lot of debt. Over 70% of students say that they have run into some sort of financial problem while in college, and 1 in 5 say they have run out of money 8 or more times during the year. Financial experts say banking, budgeting, and the importance of credit scores are some key lessons to learn. You might want to go over the different types of checking and savings accounts, debit and credit cards, and interest rates. Set up a bank account with them in comparison shop and have them pay particular attention to fees. Once your teen has set up an account, walk them through the basics of online banking. Emphasize the need for them to be responsible when using credit cards and stress the importance of paying bills on time and only charging what can be easily paid off. You might also want to advise them to continue learning on their own the importance of financial independence. Saving you money, Hillary Barsky, Fox News.
And when we come back at the top of the hour, Tim Barker is going to be joining us at 7:35. We also have Jeffrey Coleman at 7:05. Jeffrey Coleman on freedom of the press. What does that mean with this whole CBS thing that's going on right now? And then Tim Barker, who won the Republican nomination last night and probably essentially winning the whole election, the district attorney of York County. He'll be with us all here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. But first, we'll take a break for news at the top of the hour. It is 7 o'clock.
York's only local show is back on its new home on York's only local station.
Guess who's back? Back again.
This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
I'm back.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show, hour number 2 here on a Wednesday morning. I am Gary Sutton, and our presenting sponsor, of course, Barley Snyder Law Firm. Innovative solutions to help your business, you as an individual. You can check them out at barley.com. Barley Snyder Attorneys at Law with an office right here in New York at 100 East Market Street. Give them a call today at 717-846-8888. They're open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Barley Snyder Law Firm, your trusted law firm. And this hour of the Gary Sutton Show brought to you by Your Medicare Solutions. Becky and Keith Rill are ready to help you today. They explain what Medicare is, how it works, your personal options. They give you peace of mind, the best plans for you, and simple enrollment. And they answer a lot of the questions you can't answer for yourselves right now. They're your local Medicare specialists. You can schedule a consult today with Keith or with Becky, but they'll help you find the Medicare health insurance plan that best meets your needs. As I said, your local Medicare experts. All the questions you have about Medicare, they've got a lot of the answers, and they've got some stuff that other people don't check into. Now, you can email them at rill@yourmedicaresolutions.net or give them a call today at 717-487-4382. That's 717-487-4382, or go to yourmedicare-solutions.net. They are the proud sponsors of this hour of the Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK. With that, we turn right now to Jeff Coleman, who is the principal at Churchill Strategies, but also the co-host of Morning Light with Deborah Pinkerton. You can find it on Lighthouse TV, 9 o'clock every weekday morning. And Jeffrey's here with us this morning. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning, Gary. Doing well.
I wanted to talk with you a little bit about freedom of the press today. And what has really captivated me has been this CBS situation where Catherine McMahon stepped down as the head of CBS News the other day, but also the head of 60 Minutes, which is their diamond in the crown there of CBS. Right. She stepped down because President Trump has like a $20 billion suit against CBS over the interview that was done last year with Kamala Harris when she was running for president. And they said they doctored it to make it look like she said some things she didn't say, or she didn't say things that she actually did, and that they were really trying to weigh the balance on the side of the media there to get her elected. Obviously, that did not happen. So in the meantime, CBS is trying to buy, the Paramount division, which owns CBS, is trying to buy another property here, but the FCC, which is part of the executive branch, has governance over if they get to buy that property or not. And so they're caving in on one hand to try to make sure they kowtow to Trump. On the other hand, they're losing people like this lady who just resigned the other day saying we shouldn't settle with them because basically we're giving in our freedom of the press to do that. So it's kind of a complicated thing going on, and yet there's all kinds of pie plates turning on this. And I wonder if you had any thoughts on that this morning in terms of freedom of the press, and are we in danger of losing some of that?
Well, I think, look, CBS is kind of an interesting case in point. You know, you've got the Tiffany network that, back to Edward R. Murrow, had a great reputation for news that was free from corporate interest. The news division at CBS, separate from in the theoretical world, separate from the advertising world. Of course, that wall begins to collapse as you develop products like 60 Minutes that have that carry advertisements. Advertisements eventually, at some point, begin to influence news coverage. There's friction there when you're not going to do an expose on Rolaids or whatever your other lead sponsor is for the night. But now, as you move into the 80s and the 90s, and of course the Bush Dan Rather face off George H.W. Bush, and then later on George W. Bush and the Air Force records. Then you get into this era here. 60 Minutes, because of the way it, and CBS, because of the way it claims to be independent journalism, free from bias, has set a very high standard for itself. So they have always been under the most scrutiny. I don't think their criticism has ever been limited to Republicans. It just happens to be that Republicans, when they are wronged in the story, fight back. So the idea of an independent news division, I think, is a beautiful idea. I don't think it's ever really 100% true. In this era, President Trump has kind of picked up the baton where Rush Limbaugh and Bush Sr., who began really this culture of conservatives pushing back against CBS, left off. But he's done it in a big way, and in his typical style, it comes with a lawsuit and a very large team of lawyers. CBS is looking at that and saying, we really are not interested in emptying the bank account like all the law firms and everyone else that's kind of in this era of, I guess the only word for it is shakedown.
Yeah, and that, so what's happening here is this Sherry Redstone, who is the head of Paramount, they're trying to get a merger with Skydance. And CBS and Trump representatives had talks with the mediator to attempt to reach a resolution to the suit. And kind of what's read into this a little bit is the deal requires the approval of the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, which is led by Trump-appointed Chairman Brendan Carr. So they basically, what it looks like is almost like a quid pro quo here, where you say, okay, you settle the lawsuit with us, and we will somehow make sure the FCC approves of this merger. But again, the merger at what expense? Is it at the expense of freedom of the press? I'm not sure if I'm reading this all correctly, but it seems like there's responsibility that's needed on all parts here that isn't necessarily taking place at the moment. Do you see it that way?
Well, I don't want to try to split Solomon's baby here, but there really is a little bit of truth on both sides. That there is a corporate viability question here, and then there is a news question here. And when it comes to 60 Minutes and preparing for this, Sherry Redstone preparing for this sale, there's going to be some apparent conflicts. Here's Gary, what I think it all comes down to is, who do you trust?
Right.
And 41% of Americans will believe President Trump. The balance will have some degree of skepticism to, I don't know. So basically that puts us right in the middle. And the question for a corporation of any kind, not just the media, is on what side of that equation do you want to be? And that really impacts who your audience is. And I don't necessarily think the MAGA audience or the New York Times audience, are the same people.
What it comes back to, though, here, too, and this is another question that emerges out of all this, and I'm just examining them. I'm interested in what it is. The suit alleges the interview that was done with Kamala Harris last year was deceitfully edited to make her sound better. And CBS has said it was neither doctored nor deceitful. It was just one of the things that happens with, what happens with these kind of interviews. So you look at this and you say, okay, what is the role of the press here? Is the press, let's say for a moment, and a lot of us have perception that the press puts its thumb on, what's going on here instead of reporting it or instead of being objective about it, that being very subjective in terms of who they want to see elected. In this case, if they were being subjective, it didn't work out too well. And now you got the guy that you most didn't want to see get elected sitting on the other side of the table with a little power in his hand. So there's some dangerous stuff going on here as well. And I'm just concerned about it a bit in terms of freedom of the press.
Well, the only thing I would say is that one of the guards against this kind of interpretation of a journalistic product is just put the full interview in some form, as 60 Minutes does, as Dateline or other Frontline does. Just put the whole unedited video on your YouTube channel. Let us decide where you decided to inject editorial bias. Of course, the producer is going to create a product that has a headline. They're making a determination of what is news and what isn't. But the counterbalance to that is how many million Americans have TikTok accounts and editing software and do all kinds of things with video products that the news agencies aren't suing them for because they're now in the public domain. And you can make the president or make Kamala Harris or AOC say and do anything you want. And if you can't find the video, you just create it on AI. So I think this is almost a moot point at some point. We're arguing over mistakes that a news division made, CBS in this case. But all of us right now, none of the TikTok or Instagram users are playing by any kind of journalistic standard.
Yeah,
at this point, it's the Wild West for information.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I guess one of the things that I'm concerned about, too, is this idea of business and freedom of the press. There's kind of a disconnect here, or maybe they're tied together. I'm not sure which. I'm not quite sure how to ask that question, if that makes any sense, because you're looking at saying, okay, we want freedom of the press in this country. I think we all, we're guaranteed that by our Constitution and the First Amendment. And yet at the same time, have we abused that to a point where we don't really trust that right now? There's so many questions swirling around in this case that I think it's going to be interesting to see how it all kind of gets settled out at the end. And if we can come out with any kind of real correct truth, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Final thoughts.
A big question is, what is journalism? I think everyone considers themselves a journalist. All of us consider ourselves unbiased. We have to be self-aware of the worldview and the values that we bring to interpreting the news and telling the story.
Yeah, exactly right. So what are you interpreting today? What do you have on the show this morning?
There's a big survey out that says a huge chunk of blue-collar workers in America are not happy with their jobs. And it's not a new thing, but it goes deeper than pay or benefits or whether or not they have a gym at work. The big question is respect, not feeling respect for people who work with their hands. That there's still this big gap between people, as Dr. Martin Luther King said, who have the big jobs, who are in the corporate ivory tower, and then people who work with their hands. No matter how much we write country songs about people who work for a living, there still is a big gap and a big divide, as we saw in the last couple of big elections. People who work with their hands aren't feeling very respected.
Interesting. Yeah. So I'll be anxious to hear what you can come up with on that. 9 o'clock this morning. That's on Lighthouse TV. It's The Morning Light. Jeff Coleman, Deborah Pinkerton on that. Always fun to watch and a great show. Lots of great information. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Hope I didn't complicate things too much, but it is
it was. You posed a great question, and we have to keep thinking about it and working through all these angles.
Yeah, I think we all want the truth at the end. I hope that's where we're headed. Anyway, have a great day, my friend. Always good talking to you. Take care now.
See you, my friend. Bye-bye.
Jeffrey Coleman here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOIK. When we come back, some news you might have missed. We didn't. We got it for you. And more stories that Mark has as well, all here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Sports Radio 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK AM. Back after this.
And it is also Fox Sports Update. Stick around.
Okay. Let's see.
Fox Sports Update.
You know this is a game about adjustments. Despite the win, what do you have to do differently better game 2?
I'm going to keep that a secret and not let the world know so they don't see it. But we know what we got to do.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of the Oklahoma City Thunder with ESPN after he scored 31 points in Game 1 of the NBA's Western Conference Finals at home last night against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Thunder trailed by 4 points at halftime, but then outscored Minnesota after the break by 30 to win the game 114-88. Oklahoma City had 38 points in the fourth quarter. Minnesota scored 40 the entire second half. The Thunder held Anthony Edwards to 18 points. Julius Randle scored 28 for the T-Wolves, who struggled to execute when it mattered in Game 1.
We got to clean things up a little bit. Sometimes the passes were late. Sometimes we weren't quite shot ready. Sometimes we need to turn them into other plays, But I did think that we got a number of really good looks, and we really couldn't connect when the game was kind of turning against us.
Minnesota Timberwolves head coach Chris Finch, Game 2 tomorrow in Oklahoma City. Game 1 of the NBA's Eastern Conference Finals tonight at Madison Square Garden. The Knicks host the Indiana Pacers.
Score! It is now 5-1 Florida. Losterinen beats Anderson.
On TNT, the Florida Panthers won for the 5th time in 6 games in the Stanley Cup playoffs. The reigning Cup champions followed up Sunday's Game 7 6-1 blowout against Toronto with a 5-2 win at Carolina. In Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Final, the Panthers have scored 17 goals in their last 3 games on the road. Florida got goals last night from 5 different players. Game 2 tomorrow in Raleigh. Game 1 of the Western Conference Final is in Dallas tonight. The Stars host the Edmonton Oilers. You can listen to and follow the Fox Sports Podcast at foxsports.com or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jared Max.
Get more on the Fox Sports app and foxsports.com.
Do you know Chris Finch, who coaches the Minnesota Timberwolves, played for Franklin and Marshall and played at Wilson High School?
No kidding.
Yeah, right here in Pennsylvania. I played for my friend Glenn Robinson over there from 1988 to 1992. He was a shooting guard and a small forward and outstanding player for both there and also at Wilson. And in fact, I called the game. They lost a national championship game to Wisconsin-Platteville. But Finch actually ranks among the school's all-time leaders in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and assists. Is now the head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, who are playing for the championship here. So, yeah, just thought I'd mention that.
It's interesting how life gives you opportunities that you didn't have. There was at the high school I went to.
Right.
There was a math teacher. He was very popular, and he went on to become a very famous coach and ended up coaching in the NBA for a little bit.
Yeah.
But everybody was like, "You mean the math teacher?"
Yeah, the math teacher. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, we were talking about being National Waitstaff Day, and we talked about some of the things that waiters might have done before, like eat something off your plate afterward, and 30% did that. Well, I found another list this morning. The top 5 things that waiters wish they could say to customers.
Ooh.
Have you ever thought about what a waiter is thinking? For example, they might say, "This isn't a daycare. Tell your stupid kids to stop running around," right? I mean, you ever seen the place where people share their kids with you at a restaurant and they're running around, they're bumping you and they're, and then you're under your feet. Here's one. Know that sign that says, "Please wait to be seated"? Yeah, it's not a question. And maybe that's something they think about too. Please wait to be seated.
Is that for me? Is that still in force now?
It didn't say my name on it, did it? Yeah. Of course the steak's undercooked. You ordered it rare, dumbass. I mean, they might be thinking that. That's and I'm not suggesting you talk that way, but
I understand.
If you take my pen after signing the check, I will find you and I will kill you. Yeah. I have a rare set of skills. Yeah. Anyway, it's a little too late for a Diet Coke, Flabby, but okay. Maybe they think that. I don't know. Would it kill you to clear space on the table before I get third-degree burns from this fajita skillet? Huh? Maybe they're thinking about that. Or since you closed your tab an hour ago and you're still here, I had your car towed. Or this one. You better be a genie because if you snapped your fingers to get my attention, I'm dragging your burger patty across the floor. And finally, folks, we close in a half hour, so we're closed. You see, that's what they're saying.
I get it.
Yeah.
So normally we have 1 or 2 court cases that we talk about.
Sure.
Usually like the Diddy case, that kind of thing.
Right.
But these were just unusual for a number of reasons. So let's start with the first one. And it has to go with an unusual claim from the plaintiff.
The suit filed in Minneapolis against Allina Health and its doctor over claims of medical malpractice in a surgery in 2022. Court documents indicate the plaintiff, a Twin Cities woman, was admitted for a possible rupture of her spleen, though that her kidney was mistakenly removed instead of her spleen, that she now requires kidney dialysis treatment due to the mistake. Allina Health telling Fox News the court filings don't accurately reflect the full picture of the patient's condition or the life-saving medical care provided, that it intends to vigorously defend in court. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Yeah, you hear about these from time to time.
Yes.
Boy, you can only imagine. You dialysis now because they took the wrong body part out?
That's got to be tough.
Not good.
Here's another lawsuit, this one in New Hampshire.
High school students painted the mural that depicts sunbeams shining down on a mountain range of donuts, a muffin, a cinnamon roll, and other pastries in 2022, and it was placed on the roof of Levitt's Country Bakery. That drew the ire of the town of Conway's government, which claimed the bakery was violating a ban on outdoor advertising. But a federal judge has ruled the mural is artwork, not advertising, and has ordered the town of Conway to halt enforcement efforts. Bakery owner Sean Young says he's thrilled that the student's artwork can remain up and thrilled that his First Amendment rights have been vindicated. Tom Rigotti, Fox News.
Do want to remind you that this hour is being brought to you by Your Medicare Solutions. And you can check out Rill at yourmedicaresolutions.net because Keith and Becky Rill are the ones who operate this. And I'll tell you what, they're doing a great job. They're independent agents for Medicare Advantage and supplement plans. And all you need to do is go to Rill, R-I-L-L, at your-medicare-solutions.net. And they are ready to help you. Give them a call at 717-487-4382. And coming back on the other side of this half-hour break will be Tim Barker, District Attorney of York County, who won his Republican primary last night. He'll be with us to talk about that a little bit this morning and what he's looking forward to going forward as District Attorney, since there is nobody else running against him right now other than the opponent, Mr. Graybell, last night. All that straight ahead on the Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK. We take a break at 7:30.
end of the Civil War was near when quite accidentally a hero who sneezed abruptly ceased retreat and reversed it to victory. His Medal of Honor pleased and thrilled his proud little family group. While pinning it on, some blood was spilled, and so it was planned he'd command F Troop.
Yeah, a lot of people have forgotten about this. Thank God.
It was
F Troop. It was a stupid show.
It was. I mean, the song got sneezed and seized. I mean,
it was just ridiculous.
And you remember. How did you get your name? How did the Indians get their name?
Yeah, I
yes,
know.
Well, we traveled hill and dale over the hill, and we traveled up sundown, sun up, sundown. Yes, and how did you get your name? Well, eventually we stopped and we looked out over the horizon and said, "We're the Hakawi."
I know. Forrest Tucker in this, and Larry Storch and Ken Berry. I mean, a whole bunch of nuts, and there was a crazy thing.
It was fun.
And the guy who walked around with his head up in the air, couldn't see anything, banged into things all the time. It was just a stupid show. Dumb. Anyway, by the way, the Revs ready for game number 2 of their series tonight with the Blue Crabs at 6:10. Weather permitting, keep your ears on WOYK all day long today to keep up to date on that, because there is a lot of rain forecast today. Unseasonably cold. Right now, it's 54 degrees out here on Brooks Robinson Square. Actually, Brooks Robinson Plaza actually has dropped down a degree to 53 now at 7:35 here on the Gary Sutton Show. So little doubt about that today. Brooks actually has a slicker on today out there. So, you can tell he's not real happy about it. The statue outside our door here. Anyway, welcome back. Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK. I did ask you a question this morning, and you can answer me by texting the show at 833-478-4729. That's 833-478 or 4729. Or you can go to Gary Sutton Show on Facebook. And I said, I was calling the show Gary Sutton Show, Main Street of America, York County. Now, Mark has been, this is kind of like a husband-wife thing. He quietly, festering with him has been the idea that it was too wordy. But a friend of mine I had breakfast with yesterday said, what's that mean? And I said, well, it's about York County, Main Street issues every day, all that kind of stuff. He said, I don't know. He said, what if you ask people about what they think? I said, good idea. So today I'm asking you what you would put in as a moniker after that, like the Gary Sutton Show. What did I say this morning was a good suggestion? York County and beyond. York County and beyond. But maybe you got something better. And I'm ready to adopt your saying as part of our show, just to show you that I don't think I have all the answers, nor did I ever think that. But
it's an opportunity.
It's an opportunity to be part of naming our show as, the Gary Sutton Show.
With it's like a slogan or
a slogan, a follow-up, a byline, if you will, whatever. So all of that. This hour, by the way, being brought to you by Your Medicare Solutions, Rill at your-medicare-solutions.net. Keith and Becky Rill are your independent agents for Medicare Advantage and supplement plans. And you can call them today if you have questions about Medicare, and who doesn't if you have that. 717-487-4382. They're the people I go to for answers, and I hope you will too. And you can find them at Rill at your-medicare-solutions.net. They are wonderful people, and they will help you with answers that a lot of other people aren't really searching into. They like to find the answers. They love to educate, and they love to help people out with the Medicare. So Your Medicare Solutions, check them out at 717-487-4382. Well, we welcome in this morning Tim Barker, our District Attorney of York County, and we can say that now because he was a winner last night in his primary election. And since I don't think there's anyone going against him in the general election, for all intents and purposes, Tim Barker is our new District Attorney of York County. He already was there stepping in for Dave Sunday, who went on to become the Attorney General. But congratulations this morning there, Mr. District Attorney. Great to have you aboard.
Thanks, Gary. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And, if I sound a little hoarse this morning, I've been operating like Buddy the Elf. I get my full 45 minutes of sleep a night, and so it's starting to catch up with me. Between that and I think I used SPF negative 30 lotion on my face yesterday because I look like George Hamilton this morning.
I don't want you to feel bad, by the way, but I was reading a story this morning. Tim, about that a lot of these things don't work. These skin lotions, that they don't work. Yeah, I don't mean to be Donnie Damper here this morning, but there you go. But anyway,
well, I am definitely somebody that you could use as evidence for that, because I took a look at myself and I'm like, when did I put the Oompa Loompa makeup on? Yeah.
Well, anyway, race 1, and you don't have an opponent now in the general election, do you?
So we're waiting for the write-in votes on the Democrat side to see if, because it still is possible that that Jack Graybill could have obtained the write-in votes to be on the Democrat side, but there's no Democrat candidate. There's no, there was no one that ran in that space, and if I get the write-in votes, then it would be close out. It would just be me on both sides of the aspect. But I mean, for all intents and purposes, the primary was the general election in this race, because the only individuals that went and onto the ballot and ran were myself and Jack as Republicans.
And no Democrats that sought the office. Now, you won last night, 65.44% of the vote to Mr. Graybill's 34.39%. According to the unofficial returns I'm looking at this morning by the York County's election office. So you won fairly handily, but you've served in the district attorney's office now for 27 years, and you've served under 3 district attorneys. You were appointed to the position at the beginning of the year, obviously to replace Dave when he was elected state attorney general in 2024. What are you thinking this morning? What are you feeling now with the vote in from yesterday? I know it was 16% turnout, and yet at the same time, the people that turned out obviously overwhelmingly were voting for you for district attorney.
So, there's a couple different feelings I have. I think, and part of this is just how I'm wired. I've got a little bit of that. I don't know if you remember when Jerry West was asked after he won his first championship about how he felt and was he going to enjoy this. He said, yes, I'll enjoy it for this evening. Then I got to start working on the next basketball season for the next championship.
Right.
That kind of aspect, that's a little bit how I am. Yes, I enjoyed the moment, but I ran for the work. And so already I'm like, all right, I've got to go ahead and have these meetings, these witness prep sessions. We've got court coming up next week on blah, blah, blah. And our priorities, where are we setting up our meetings? What are we doing in this way? Because, if that's just how I am and who I am. The part that I really appreciate, though, and so it's not a win-loss thing. What I really feel phenomenal about are the love and support from so many people, not just the voters, but like the supporters. What it takes to do a countywide race and how you go about it. Yeah. You need people that really care about you, that really support you. The amount of people that gave their time to go ahead and do and be there with me. Right. And some of the people are more visible, and you can't do it without them. And of course, not just Dave's such a close friend, great guy, and it's awesome to be able to go forward with him and have the great work we're going to do with him as Attorney General, me as DA, partnering on a lot of stuff. But then you have, Kristen Phillips Hill, Mike Jones, Kate Klunk, Seth Grove, Dawn Kiefer, Joe Diorsi, and Mark Anderson, Wendy Fink, the whole crew of them, with those stuff that they did in supporting, absolutely, their outward faces of great people. And when Kristen and Mike and Kate from the very, very beginning, when I started to talk about just the great things that they went and did and supported. But then you go on, to the next level. The work of district captains within those districts for the for the Republican Party. They worked so tirelessly. The committee people, the people that were part of my team, the supporters, were the people in my office. The strain that this put on everybody in the office, because they're there and they support me because of the mission. I mean, they like me as a person, but you can have a great person with a bad mission and be a bad leader. you don't stay for that. You don't fight for that. My office did, and and of course, like in working with the people that I do with Beck and CJ, the young Republicans, all those folks, just really, it takes a whole entire village, and the thing that they coalesced around, and again, they all like me, and that's great, but they love the mission. And that you've got to have for people to be fired up to want to do this every day and to say, Tim, what do you need? What do we do? It's the mission. It's always the mission.
Let me ask you a question here. And as you look at the job of district attorney, I mean, what do you really have to have? If you looked at, okay, here's the number one quality that a district attorney has to have, what would you say it would be from your vantage point?
Boy, great question, because a lot of people would focus on the initial core aspect, which is how well do you prosecute a case? What do you do in terms of litigation?
But I'm saying in terms of temperament and that kind of thing going in, what would you say it is?
Yeah, so I think you've got to view this as being a calling, because to be DA is completely different from being a trial prosecutor.
Okay.
To be DA, you have to first and foremost have the call. You have to have the call that this is what you are willing to go ahead and accept the responsibility of everybody's public safety and public interest, and that public service must come first. You have to want to set aside other aspects of your life. I mean, Missy and I, my wife and I, talk about this a lot, and thank God for Missy every day.
Yeah.
Nothing I could do is possible without her.
I think we all feel that way. We have to have someone who's a good partner in any kind of endeavor like that. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Because you definitely. I'm trying to think of the way that it makes sense. So many, leadership is so critical. There's so many things that go into what leadership is, because you're truly being a leadership. But there's even a difference between leadership in terms of office management or management of systems and mission-driven call.
Well, I was going to ask you about that, because you need to be a manager, but you also need to kind of be an organizer, and yet you also need to be a trial lawyer. You need to be a person that's got all your people on the same wavelength. I mean, there's a lot of pie plates spinning on this job, aren't there? Final thoughts?
Oh yeah, there absolutely are. It is a very complex job if you're going to go ahead and do it the right way with the eye to sacrificial love and service. You have to go ahead and keep that focus, and it's got to always be about the mission. We called our mission, we got it down to like a 3-part phrase of being public safety, community well-being, and fairness and justice.
And I think
we boiled it down to that, because you've got to have a core mission that you always are keeping your eye on the prize. If you do that, then you are going to go ahead and have a mission-led, service-built life, and you're going to do, as district attorney, you must have that. Dave had that. I have that. Tom, Stan, like the people before. That was part of the core aspect.
Yeah.
What is the mission? Go accomplishment, because you're doing it for your community. I love York County. I love this community. I love the people here. We are a great county and a great community.
And again,
I look forward to serving.
Congratulations on the vote yesterday, and we look forward to talking to you along the way, and maybe get a couple more winks of sleep there this morning to add to your 45 minutes you already got.
Yeah.
Take care, Tim.
Thanks, Gary. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. Have a wonderful day. Tim Barker, our district attorney of York County. We take a break. We come back with John from Yanni's. Yeah, what's going on there? We're going to find out from John. He's got some great Mediterranean food over there. And does he have anything going on today that's special? Well, everything's special over there. He'll tell you all about it next here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. It's a little dated, but for those of you of a certain age, you remembered Michael Cole,
who disappeared.
Was Peggy Lipton in this as well? Quincy Jones' wife.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy you'd see every now and then, Clarence Williams III, who was every now and then on a movie that you say, yeah, I remember that guy with the Mod Squad. And that's how he was remembered. And then Peggy Lipton, who was married to Quincy Jones. That was her claim to fame. It's called the Mod Squad.
See, when I hear this theme, it sounds like a traditional cop show.
I was going to say, it sounds like every single cop show theme.
But this was not that.
No, it was not.
It was a bunch of young hippies.
It was. And they were very hip, and Peggy Lipton was a good look and all that. So, but it was the Mod Squad, and for those of you of a certain age. By the way, this afternoon, 4 p.m., if it is a little rainy today, and it's supposed to be, at 4 p.m. today, May 21st, they have a sale out of Thomasville Country Auction. And today it's an estate sale. They have a trailer, tillers, steel weed eaters, tools, yarn, a Mantis garden tiller, a Big Red Horse garden tiller, 2 steel gas weed eaters, Pro Series lift, pull behind trailer, Earthway precision seeder, interchangeable seed plates, by the way, on that, a new 12x6 greenhouse in the box. They've got Scott's lawn seeder, RV wheel covers, hand tools, ratchets, wrenches, screwdrivers, pliers, adjustable wrenches, all the stuff my dentist used to have. And all right there today at Thomasville Country Auction. You can go on there. I'm being serious now. To ThomasvilleCountryAuction.com. Hit auction date. Today is the 21st. You'll see every item up for bid this afternoon, and you can get out there and know exactly what you're going to bid on. Now, I don't know if you're moving. I don't know if you're downsizing. I don't know if you have an estate to sell. Whatever the reason might be, Thomasville Country Auction is ready to help you with your sale like they've been doing for the last 40 years here for York County. Jack and Cheryl Hooks are ready. So give them a call today at 717-764-5403. Have them come out to your home, talk about a sale, answer all the questions because you don't know what you're doing on a sale. I didn't when I had to do the estate sale. And they can answer them all honestly and in York County-ese that we can understand. That's right. And they will take a look at your items, even offer to haul them from your house to their auction house. And if you're selling your real estate, Cheryl could sell your real estate and save you lots of money. They've been doing it for a long time, ladies and gentlemen. And, it sometimes takes more than one sale to get all your stuff done. And by the way, right now, there's jobs for you waiting out there at Thomasville Country Auction. That's right. Part-time, full-time jobs. Why don't you give them a call about that? They are looking for help, and it's fun, and it's a great business, and it's a little unique. 717-764-5403. Jack and Cheryl Hooks are great people to work for and with as well. So why don't you check about a job? Why don't you check about an auction? Why don't you check about today? Why don't you just get out there this afternoon at 4 p.m. to Thomasville Country Auction, Route 30 West at the railroad tracks in Thomasville. WOYK News Time is 7:54. We check in this morning with John Politzopoulos, also known as Yanni, because Yanni's is the hottest new Mediterranean restaurant right here in York. And they're getting ready to open a new place out in the east side of town. But right now they're located at 310 Town Center Drive in the West Manchester Town Center Shopping Center. I still want to say mall. That's an old word. The West Manchester Township Shopping Center right there at Town Center. And they are located at 310 Town Center Drive. And John's with us this morning. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning. Good. And yourself?
Well, I'm doing great. But, you have taken York by storm when it comes to Mediterranean dishes. I mean, you're offering a medley of Greek and Mediterranean dishes. I mean, you got hand-cut gyros. I see I'm saying it correctly now. Not gyros, but gyros. Souvlaki. You've got moussaka, pasticcio, spinach pie, Greek salads, stuffed spinach leaves, gyro bowls. I should say gyro bowls. Hummus. You've got it all out there, no matter what our tastes are right now. Right, John?
Well, a little bit for everybody.
The hero bowls, I've seen a lot of people getting those because I'm out there about 2 or 3 times a week eating breakfast or lunch or dinner, and I'm going to be out there today at 12 o'clock having my lunch. But these hero bowls seem to be a real popular one right now. Talk about them a bit, if you would, John.
Yep, very popular. Bring your appetite with those. You get like a small little Greek salad on one side of the plate. You get rice on the other. Top with your favorite kind of meat, either traditional gyro, chicken, a souvlaki, or falafel if you want to be healthy, and toasted pita points.
Yeah, I mean, the pita points are these little pieces of bread, and I'll tell you what, you wrap some of the meat in there, you put a little tzatziki sauce on, ladies and gentlemen, you just sit there and kind of linger in the moment, if you will. Now, you're also getting ready to open a brand new place on the east side of town. Tell people about that as well, John.
Yep, that one there is going to be located at 2815 Concord Road, York, PA. Progress is coming along. We're just waiting pretty much for paperwork, and we're hoping to open as soon as possible.
That's out at the Best Buy shopping center for those of you who want to use that as a name. And it's the former Five Guys there, but now it's going to be Yanni's on the east side. And, what do you like so much about cooking, John? I've never asked you that. What is it that you and your family, I mean, Chris, your mom, Anna, your wife, Amanda, what do you like so much about the cooking and the restaurant business?
Oh, it's been a family tradition for years since I was born. My mom has been making dinners for the whole family, all kinds of events, special occasions, and it just carried through.
And you watch your dad. I mean, the smile out there. We used to be in the diner business. Well, now you're in this business. And I see the smile on his face every time I'm in there. And he loves putting together the gyros. He loves putting together the meat. He loves putting together the moussaka and the pasticcio and all that. He seems to really be having a great time.
He loves it. It's his form of relaxation and his art.
And finally, John, when you look at what it is about Mediterranean food, I hear people coming in there all the time now. I'm usually in a line behind them, and the people, and it's a nice problem to have, right? Have a little bit of a line. But people are saying, man, I'm eating this bowl, and it's growing. It's not going away. The amounts of food that you have there are incredible and very healthy as well.
Yep, we try. Like I said, with the bowls, you get that Greek salad where it's got like your fresh cut tomatoes, cucumbers. You got olives that we import in, feta cheese, pepperoni peppers, green peppers, a whole litany of vegetables there.
Ladies and gentlemen, you want to eat healthy, you want to eat great food with a great taste, then you want to get out to Yanni's. Why don't you meet me out there today at 12 o'clock for a little lunchtime? Or even if you can't make it at 12 and you can't see me, you can still get out there and eat Yanni's great food. You can give them a call, get takeout as well. It's 717-885-0710. That's 717-885-0710. They're at 310 Town Center Drive in the West Manchester Town Center Shopping Center. They're right next to Buffalo Wild Wings. People might say Buffalo Wild Wings is right next to you. But they're open 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. every single day. Now, Memorial Day, your hours might differ a little bit there, John. But for people that are looking to have great Mediterranean food, great Greek food, get out to Yanni's right now and see John and his great family out there. They're cooking up a storm every single day. John, hope you have a great day, and thanks so much for joining us this morning, my friend.
You as well. Thank you very much.
Great sponsor of this show, Yanni's, and I'm going to be out there today at 12 o'clock. Join me for some great food and some great conversation at this Greek restaurant, Yanni's Gyros.
What are you going to have?
You know what? I think I'm going to have a hero today. I think I might even go for the Hercules, the big one. The big dog.
Hercules.
The Hercules,
I heard about that.
The big one. By the way, this hour has been brought to you by Your Medicare Solutions. Keith and Becky Rill are ready to help you with all the answers to your Medicare questions. Give them a call today at 717-487-4382 or go to Rill at your-medicare-solutions.net. They are ready to help you today. Ryan Fox is ready to help you, too. Take a look at the economy and make some sense out of it if that's possible. He's up next on The Gary Sutton Show at 8:05 on WOYK. Right now, it is 8 o'clock.
York's only local show is back on its new home on York's only local station.
Guess who's back? Back again.
This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
I'm back.
Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And welcome back to the final hour of the Gary Sutton Show, brought to you by the Barley Snyder Attorneys at Law. Barley Snyder is a very special kind of law firm. And, one of the great things about them, they're very specialized in a lot of different areas. Innovative legal solutions for your business. They're a law firm for today's business world. And you can find them at barley.com right here in York. They're at 100 East Market Street, 846-8888. That's 717-846-8888 is the phone number. They're open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And check them out at barley.com to see if they've got a solution for you. This hour is brought to you specifically by Total Exterminating Services, trusted, local, family-owned. Steve Shetter and all the good people over there are ready to help you right now. You can give them a call at 717-951-3866 for all of your pest control needs, residential and commercial. They're serving Lancaster, York, and Hanover, locally owned and operated. And 1% of their net profits, by the way, are donated to local charities. More than 50 years of experience. Steve Shetter has affordable programs designed for your needs today. Again, TES, Total Exterminating Services. We'll hear from Steve later on in the hour. But right now, I want to hear from Ryan Fox, Houston Fox Financial Advisory Services. He is the one partner from there who we talk to every single week as he tries to make sense of the economic scene out there. And good morning, my friend. How are you?
Hey, Gary, I'm good this morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. There's a perception, I think, right now, Ryan, a sense that things have calmed down a little bit. Maybe not. I don't know if it's just perception or is it the reality. What's your take on the whole economic scene going on out there right now with the markets and whatnot?
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. Economists always have a one-hand explanation, and then they'll say on the other hand if things go this way. And that's what I'm looking at on my two big screens that I have here in the office. Corporate earnings are coming out right now, fast and furious, and these are their first quarter 2025 earnings. And overall, they've been really good. The majority of companies have exceeded expectations, or what they say above consensus expectations. And that just means when Wall Street analysts try to predict what these companies should do, most of the companies are doing pretty well. But we're seeing many U.S. companies become increasingly aware and trying to project how these various manifestations and then rumors and reality of tariffs are starting to impact their businesses. The word recession is coming up more often, but we're not seeing commensurate layoffs, where layoffs, I think my notes show about 2% of all the earnings calls mention layoffs. So most companies seem to be pretty patiently waiting on clarity for the policy and the economic data before really making any shifts in their labor and strategies. And just like with markets, patience remains the call of the day. I did read, just came up a few minutes ago, one of the major Wall Street firms has turned very bullish on U.S. stocks, and bullish is the term saying they think markets could go significantly higher and that the lows have already been in, which I hope that's the case. But what they're suggesting is that markets could rally up to 20% over the next year. And their rationale is one that I like this idea that, a recession traditionally is the overall economy drops and has 2 consecutive quarters of lower growth. Well, what they're suggesting is we're already seeing that through various parts of the economy, that it may not be a traditional type recession anymore. It may be a rolling recession throughout the stock market where various industries may get impacted. Higher rates may hurt housing. Lower rates may be not so good for banking, things like that. And that makes a lot of sense. Then on the other hand, you have today the 30-year Treasury exceeded 5%. And that may lead to the market to give back some gains today a little bit. And that's caused by what was recently a downgrade in the U.S. credit rating from AAA to AA1 by Moody's. And, that kind of is a big deal, but it brought them in line with all the other major credit rating agencies that have cut the U.S. Credit rating from AAA down to the next notch. This happens periodically. In the bigger scope, it's like kind of going from an A+ in school of 100% to like a 98%. But right now what it's doing is pushing up yields a little bit because markets are also a little concerned about President's proposed budget bill and what that could do to our deficit and how that all plays out. So again, just a lot of noise with things. But last week, markets had a fantastic week. It was a huge week for the market. The S&P 500 biggest U.S. stocks, was up 5%.
Wow. Okay.
And now closed last week up 2% year to date. The NASDAQ jumped 7% last year and is now rated break even for the year. So really across the board, massive rally the last 6 weeks, and it held through last week. It doesn't seem that long ago we were talking about markets bouncing around bear market territory, being down 20%. So the move down was extraordinarily fast, and this bounce back was extraordinarily fast. And, markets tend to be leading indicators. So maybe markets are seeing, out in the future that many of these issues start to get resolved and that inflation subsides. And the Fed, the projection still is they're going to cut rates twice later this year, September, and maybe by year end, a second cut. So we'll see. But all in all, it was a fantastic week for markets last week. There's, on one hand, you have a major firm coming out being very bullish right now. On the other hand, you have interest rates spiking up a little bit, and that impacts borrowing costs, but that's probably temporary. So, again, pretty good time in markets lately that we've come through, hopefully some of that darkness, and as spring finally brings us to sunshine at some point when it stops raining, maybe markets will bounce a lot higher over the next year.
I think the word that I want to ask you about is stability. Is there any stability at this particular point? I know things have been like every day was like a three-ring circus, and now it seems like there's a perception of some stability, but maybe that's the wrong word. What word would you use for the times we're in right now?
No, I think that's a really good word because the biggest economic component truly of the U.S. economy are the U.S. consumers. We the people, what we spend. Consumer spending makes up a massive amount of our economy, and the consumer's still spending. So, even though rates, have been higher for a little bit longer than maybe we expected because the Fed hasn't cut, and investors have been patient, but we, the consumer, are still spending. Spending numbers are good on housing, on autos, on consumer products that we have to have versus even consumers' products that are optional. So I think the consumer stability has been really what's held the economy together. And if rates come down a little bit by year end and the economy slows a little bit over that time, well, that'll bring down inflation ideally. I mean, at least that's conventional wisdom. And if rates come down, that should help lead to better consumer spending because borrowing costs will come down. It gets cheaper to buy things when interest rates come down. We need mortgage rates to come down, but with the spike in bond yields right now, that's back over 7%. But I think consumers have been very, very stable.
We're talking with Ryan Fox, Houston Fox Financial Advisory Services. He is the partner there. Ryan, one other question I wanted to ask before we get a tip from you this morning is on that spending. Are we spending more on credit cards? Are we spending more going into more debt? Or are we spending more of what we have in terms of finite, tangible goods or tangible funds right now?
Yeah, it certainly seems to be a lot of credit card debt getting racked up. People are using credit cards for spending. And inevitably, that starts to get more expensive when, they're not paying off their balances. But consumer spending on credit really, really is high. And, the best thing there is when we can, don't spend more than what you can pay off every month so you avoid the interest costs. But you accrue all those wonderful points to use on various things.
Right. And we might say that to our government, too. Don't spend more than what you have. But that horse left the barn some time ago, so we'll see if we can get a handle on that somewhere. What's your tip for this week, Ryan? You've always got a great tip for us every week.
Yeah, a couple simple ones, actually. So Walmart announced they're raising prices. A lot of their goods come from overseas, so at least temporarily, they're going to have some higher costs. And that's going to impact a lot of people because Walmart provides things to an awful lot of people at a reasonable cost. So what should we do? Well, number one, let's review our monthly costs. If costs have gone up, maybe eat out one less time or look for coupons. There's lots of restaurants trying to entice us to eat there, offering coupons to keep their seats full. We can check our technology costs too and ongoing subscriptions. Are there ways to cut our prescription costs? We can use points, credit card points, what we just kind of mentioned, gas points from grocery stores. They actually can really add up, So higher grocery costs mean we're paying more, but we're getting more points against gas. So there's the best spin I can put on that. Number two, our living situation. A lot of people, as they enter retirement, look to say, hey, we don't need a 4-bedroom house, for example. Maybe they downsize to something smaller, and even though interest rates are high for mortgages, if they can sell their fully paid off house and buy a smaller house and not take out a mortgage, that should lower utility costs, lower taxes, and repair costs too. But before we jump and move south somewhere or east to the beaches, it's always recommended to live there maybe for a summer or even rent for a year to experience the seasons, whether it's crowded with tourism or the off season where things close, just to make sure it suits, truly a long-term solution for people.
And finally, Ryan, in complex times like we have right now with finances, a lot of people are looking for answers that they don't have themselves. And I'm one of those kind of people. I got you as my financial advisor years ago, and I've been very happy because you have answers and you're looking at things that I'm not looking at day to day, and I have a sense of security about that. I feel good about that. But talk to people a little bit if they're looking for someone and they might want to consider you, what you do that's a little bit different and how they can contact you and how you're going to deal with them. Because I know a lot of times you might say, hey, you're doing pretty well. You don't really need me. But there are other times say, yeah, okay, well, let's see what we can do. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So my business partner, Sean Houston, and I are Houston Fox Financial Advisory Services. We're fee-only fiduciaries, which means we don't sell products. Our only compensation comes from our clients. And we put our fee in writing. We sign a contract so we can't change our fees without doing more paperwork, which I'm not doing that paperwork. But what we do is we try to meet clients where their needs are. We'll sit down, talk with anybody in person, over the phone, even via email sometimes, to see if there's a need that we can help them with. And then if it feels like a good fit after we determine a number of different things, we might suggest people become a client if they're interested. If they do, great. If they don't need us, great. Hopefully they've got some good advice. But we're fee-only fiduciaries, which means client interests are always represented first and foremost over anything else.
And I can tell people from experience, you know what you're talking about. You've helped me. And maybe you're looking for someone to help you right now. Why don't you give Ryan a call today? And maybe he can help you as he's helped me. Ryan, of course, is at 717-398-2040. That's 717-398-2040. It gives us a report every single week on what the markets are doing, what the economic situation is. Ryan, always appreciate it. And looking forward to next week with you, my friend. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thanks for your time, Gary. Have a good weekend.
You too, and happy Memorial Day. Ryan Fox, Houston Fox Financial Advisory Services, right here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. When we come back, you're going to get a chance to meet Steve Shetter of TES, Total Exterminating Services, about pests. Boy, we hate pests, don't we? Yeah, not the human kind, the other kind. He'll get at some of that when we come back here at 8:22 on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. It's 8:18.
Swing and a line drive, base hit to left. Tostado scores. Here comes Costas. He scores. Dives across the plate. And this game is tied 6-6 here in the bottom of the 8th inning. And a swing and a looper toward the line and right. Wilson is over. He makes the catch. Miller tags from third. Here's the throw. He scores! And this game's over! Brandon Lewis, the walk-off sac fly, and the Revs have done it again. Their third win this year, coming back from down at least 4.
Darrell Henry with the call last night at the end of the game. I was there through 7 innings, and it was 6-2. The Revs were down. I walked out. People were walking out.
They waited for you to leave.
There were other people were walking out like they thought. It
was over.
And I wasn't leaving for that reason. I had to go to a election party last night. But so I go out, and for some reason I didn't switch my radio on. I just was driving through town, a 10-minute drive to my place. I had to go. And so afterward I said, well, I got to check the score. So I checked the score, and they win 7-6. I called Darrell. I said, what the heck happened? And he was still fired up. He said, oh, my gosh, you won't believe it. And so they came back again, 4 down, tied it up in the 8th, got 4 runs in the 8th, and then in the 9th had to walk off again on a sacrifice fly from Brandon Lewis. And the Revs now lead by 3 games in the Atlantic Division, North Division, over the Staten Island Ferry Hawks.
My favorite part,
yes,
was when he called. So the guy made the catch,
right,
and then the Rev runner breaks for home, and when he calls, he's safe, and then you heard the crowd. It just erupted.
And then the cannon go off, which makes it even better. You know who's a baseball fan?
Who's that?
Steve Shetter of TES, Total Exterminating Services. He is a baseball fan. He was here the other week with his wife and his son, who helps him to do some of the work there at TES, and he's with us here this morning. Good morning, Steve. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Gary. How are you doing? Glad to hear the Revs won last night.
I know you're a big fan, and I know that you love to get out to games, but they dealt with the pests from Southern Maryland last night, the Blue Crabs, who have been pests all year long. This is the first game we won against them. We were 0-3 going into last night. Had to come from behind to do it, but it doesn't matter. It still shows up in the win column this morning. But you're looking to put one in the win column every day for people who are dealing with pests this time of year, right?
We are, Gary. You know, they're saying April showers bring May flowers. Well, it also brings all the bugs out.
Oh. And I've got to get my time set up because I told you I was going to give you a call, and I have not got my time set up yet because I saw some of those little ants starting to show up the other day on things, and I hate ants. Hate them. You know how in the movie Indiana Jones says snakes? Why did it have to be snakes? It's ants. Why did it have to be ants? I hate ants. I hate termites. I see right now you're giving $50 off, though, on termite service. Tell people about that because you've got a coupon right there at TESPest.com.
Yeah, so people that visit our website will see right on the front page at the bottom, we've got several different coupons going out. But yeah, termite's pretty extensive work. It's pretty detailed. But right now, we're offering $50 off any termite job that we service.
Now, you know what? You tell us stories every week. Do you have any good stories this week? Last week it was about bed bugs. Another one. Why did it have to be bed bugs? But what do you have for us this week?
Well, one thing I wanted your listeners to know was last night was the first I spotted lanternfly. So I saw a lot of those on a grapevine last night. So the last few years have not been really bad with the spotted lanternfly, not like it was 2 or 3 years ago, but who knows what this year is going to bring, Gary, but I saw hundreds of them on a grapevine last night.
Oh, no. What is so bad about the lanternfly? What do they do in terms of damage?
Well, for most people in their house, they're just a nuisance pest. They'll land on anything. You go to swat them, and they're really quick. They'll jump away. But they can damage crops. So, you know, they are definitely a pest that can do some damage.
When you come in to look around, I know you do free evaluations for people. When you come in to look around to see evidence of a pest, whether it's, let's say ants, like in my case, where do you go to find that? What kind of things do you have to do to hunt down where they are, where they're located, how to get to their nests, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so that's a great question, Gary. You know, the biggest thing for us, there's 2 things for us. One is is talking to the customer and finding out where are you seeing them, what are you seeing, and then the second thing we do, and I teach my guys, the most important tool that we carry is our flashlight, and then it's inspection time, and people, I'm always shining my flashlight, and people are saying, "Oh, I didn't realize I had that many spiders down here," or something like that. But good, thorough inspection is the way to get to the beginning of a plan to take care of things.
Tell people how you do business too. I said you come out and you do free evaluations, and then you're great for communication. I mean, you've been doing this for a long, long time. So tell people a little bit about how you operate with TES.
Sure. So you just give us a call, and one of the ladies here in the office, Kathy, Beth, or Denise, will set you up with an inspection for me or one of the guys to come out, and we're going to talk to you. We're going to identify the issue that you have going on, and then we're going to come up with a plan, and I go over that plan with you very thoroughly on what we're going to do, where we're going to do it at, and give you the price, and all of that's at no charge. So you know exactly what you're getting before the technician ever comes out to do the service for you.
And again, people can call you at 717-951-3866, or they can go Stephen.Shetter, Shetter, at tespest.com. That's TESPEST.com. And, somebody asked me the other day, said, hey, could you ask Steve what all comes under the title of pests? How many different kinds of pests do you go after there, Steve?
We can take care of just about everything, Gary. I get asked every day if I could take care of somebody's husband or something like that, and that's the one. I'd be a rich man if I could. Yeah. But that's the one pest that we can't get rid of.
Right. So if it's a pest, if it's bothering your home, if it's infesting your home in some way, shape, or form, you need to give Steve a call today. His number again, 717-951-3868. And one of the things I like about your business, Steve, is 1% of the net profits are donated to local charities. That's really nice on your part to give back.
Yeah, and we don't target one specific charity, Gary. We get requests. And we look at where we can help the most with donations. We've also, helped individuals at times. So it's important for us to be able to give back to the community. We've been blessed with the business in these last 10 years. And, it's important to us to be able to do that.
So whether it's ants or bees or fleas or mice or mosquitoes or roaches or stink bugs or termites, Steve is ready to help you. It's TES, Total Exterminating Services. Check them out today, Steve.Shetter at TESPest.com, or give them a call today at 717-951-3868. They are serving York, Lancaster, and Harrisburg, and they are ready to help you right now. Residential and commercial pest control, and just doing a great job. 50 years of pest control experience and affordable programs as well designed to help you and your needs. Steve, thanks so much for joining us this morning, and thank you so much for being a sponsor here of this hour on the Gary Sutton Show. Really appreciate it.
Hey, we're glad to do it, and we appreciate you also, Gary.
Thanks so much, my friend. And go Rebs, right? There you go.
Go Rebs.
And get after those pests called Southern Maryland. Get them out of here. Anyway, hey, thanks so much, Steve. Have a great rest of your week. We'll talk to you next week, my friend.
Thank you. You do the same, Gary.
Steve Shetter doing the job there with TES, Total Exterminating Services. When we come back, Julie Wheeler's a little tired this morning, Mark. She was up late last night because she was in charge of all the elections yesterday, and she is the last one to leave on that one. But she's got some stories for you this morning, even though it was only 16% turnout last night. She's got some stories about some things that happened yesterday that were kind of neat, and she'll tell us about it here when she joins us next. Julie Wheeler, President Commissioner of the York County Commissioners, all here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. another pretty good one. Fred Gwynn and the Munsters. Who is Lily in this? His wife,
Yvonne DeCarlo.
Yvonne DeCarlo was a really good actress.
She was in 10 Commandments.
She was in 10 Commandments. That's exactly right.
She was the wife of Moses.
She was the wife of Moses. Yeah. She also, what was the other one?
Al Lewis.
She was in a couple of them. What was I just thinking about her?
I don't know.
Pat Priest. For some reason, Pat Priest is the only normal one in the whole thing.
Yes.
Everybody else is kind of weird, and Pat is like this normal, beautiful, blonde-haired daughter of Mr. Munster there.
Now,
Fred Gwynn, of course, and My Cousin Vinny. He's the judge in that, for those of you who are trying to remember what he's in.
The last one we're going to play for today, coming up out of the next break, the last break, is a song that just musically I like. It's just a good song. It's got, and the TV show wasn't that big of a hit until the lead actor died.
Right.
But it's a good song. So I'm going to take a little license and play that.
There you go.
And see if you remember the show.
By the way, Yvonne DeCarlo also was the maid in McClintock with John Wayne.
Yes.
She was the maid in that. She's always this nice person.
Yes.
And she's never a bad person.
Rarely yells.
Beautiful lady.
Yes.
I mean, beautiful
Yes.
lady. Just very talented. By the way, a lot of you know I'm on a kind of a crusade here for helping people with depression in York County. I'm one who has suffered from depression my whole life in different forms, and very mild now. But it's something that we all deal. We all have something to deal with, and depression is one of those things that sometimes you can get help from a lot of different places: psychologists, psychiatrists. You can get help with medicine and so forth. And then sometimes some people don't respond as well to those kind of things. Well, I've got something to help you right now as a possibility. And it's called York TMS Clinic. Dr. Etienne, who was an orthopedic surgeon here for a long time, well-renowned in the area, did both my knees, by the way. I walk today because of him. Retired from that, and he has now gotten into York TMS Clinic. And what do they do? Well, TMS stands for transcranial magnetic stimulation. And what it does, it treats depression at the source. Now, depression is caused by a decreased activity in areas of the brain involved in regulating mood. And so this goes directly to that. It's basically, you do 36 treatments, and you put this thing on your head, and it's a very light kind of thing and non-invasive. You can sit there and be having a conversation with somebody while you're doing it. It doesn't hurt, none of that kind of stuff. But what it does, it helps to wake up those areas of the brain that have kind of gone to sleep and gets your brain being active again and working the way it should. And it's really fascinating how it works. You could actually go see actual PET scans of adult brains where they're kind of dormant and quiet and where they become awake through this NeuroStar treatment. Insurance, most insurances cover it. You don't have to be referred to by a doctor there. You can actually go there yourself. They're at 1806 North George Street right here in York, and you can go find out about it before you even engage in it. And they've got a lot of information on it. A lot of studies have been done. And a lot of real people have been helped right here in the York area. Why don't you find out about York TMS Clinic and NeuroStar? You can actually go to neurostar.com to see what that's all about and find out about it ahead of time. Or give them a call today at 717-699-7361. That's 717, write it down, 699-7361. Tell them Gary Sutton sent you proudly. They are ready to help you today. York TMS Clinic, located right here at 1806 North George Street. As you come into York, come down the hill there to the first light, and they are ready to help you today. Knowledgeable people who know the business, and people that are ready to help you with a possibility you may not have experienced yet and help you to cure depression. They're at 1806 North George Street right here in York. Open 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and make that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. York TMS Clinic. Give it a shot today and find out all about what they could offer you and helping with that depression. WOYK News Time is 8:38, and with us this morning, a sleepy but active and awake Julie Wheeler, our President Commissioner of the York County Commissioners. She had a long night last night. Good morning, Julie. How are you?
I'm good, Gary. How are you?
Well, I'm doing really well. Great to have you in this morning. Thank you. I owe you a dinner.
Oh, that's okay.
For joining us this morning, because I know you just got out of bed and you had a long night. Only 16% showing up to vote. Probably doesn't make you terribly happy, and yet the election seemed to go pretty well yesterday.
Yeah, it did. All in all, it went pretty well. A few minor things here and there, but all in all, process ran pretty smoothly. But as you allude to, 16% voter turnout, just really, really, really poor turnout for an election where, a lot of local elections occurred yesterday.
Well, I often tell people these are the most important elections because they're people that affect you and affect your daily living and policies and so forth, from school boards to township supervisors to district attorneys to judges. And so they are important elections. Why don't you think more people come out for these?
I don't know. I don't know if voters had maybe voter burnout from, the big year last year. It's a great question that I wish I knew the answer to, because as you alluded to, these elections that occurred yesterday are so important because these folks are making decisions that really impact our day-to-day lives.
I know one of the things that people tell me a lot, Julie, is, well, you only have one side running, or, someone didn't show up and you're cross-filing, and so you're really, it's already decided. And so I guess people get a little bit bit by that. Also, I think we're at a time where we seem to go with personality elections a lot. Unless there's a great big issue that's bugging a particular area, a school board election or whatever, people don't seem to get that fired up about it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're spot on. I don't know if it's also lack of education, right? Getting the word out about these candidates and what they stand for. Now, certainly that's on the candidates who are campaigning versus others, but I think as a whole maybe could do a better job of educating the community on who's running and what they stand for.
Now, you were telling us the other week about a competition that was going on about a design, and you had kind of a special feeling about it yesterday and wanted to congratulate a particular student whose design was selected for the high school competition for the I Voted sticker, right?
Yeah, it was really special yesterday. So if you recall, last year we launched our first annual I Voted design sticker contest, and we selected 3 students, one representing K to 5, 1 6 to 8, and then 1 9 to 12. And Madeline Zawarte is an 18-year-old student at Northern High School, and she was selected as a high school student winner. And she was able to vote for the very first time yesterday. So
wow.
I met her up at Carroll Township, and she voted, and we chatted, and it was a really special day. And I encouraged her to encourage her friends who are 18 years old to vote. So it was really cool yesterday to hook up with her, and she got her own sticker that she designed.
Wow, that's a pretty special day. That's pretty cool. I like that. What are some of the activities that go on, by the way, post-election? Now, today you're going to be doing other stuff and in the days to come. What kind of things have to be done that people might not be aware of here in York County?
I know. I think there's a perception, the average voter thinks that, it's all done after Election Day. Nope, lots more work to be done. So
right.
In the short term, a couple things that now we will start to work on is we'll process military ballots. They have a little bit of a longer time frame to turn their ballots in, so military and overseas ballots. We'll organize all the provisional ballots that came in yesterday, and so we'll have to go through those. And then we do a lot of reconciliation. So the judge of elections brought all their materials last night back to the Pleasant Valley Road facility. And so today we will go through and start to reconcile, right? So Windsor Township 4 was given X number of ballots. So we'll go and we'll count, okay, here's how many ballots were cast, here's how many ballots were left. So a lot of reconciliation there. We'll take the poll books. We'll go through those, and we'll reconcile all the poll books to put in the system who voted and whether or not they voted, and then that gets cross-checked against who voted by mail. And then after that, we start auditing our work. So the state requires us to do a risk-limiting audit and a 2% audit, so we will start those processes as well. So there is still a lot of work to do to close out the election for us in the next 30 days, and then we're start prepping for the general election.
Wow. Now, with the military ballots, is the election still unofficial until they're actually all counted and filed in?
Yeah, so on our website, certainly you'll see the unofficial results.
Right.
The results won't be official until we go through a process which is called the final certification, and that occurs in a couple weeks. So, yes, we tell everyone results are unofficial until we actually certify the results, and then we send a paper up to the Department of State saying here's our results, and then it becomes official.
That's kind of interesting. You look and you see the unofficial results, so you really have to kind of say, all right, well, yeah, unless there's a whole exorbitant amount of military ballots out there. Do you have any idea ahead of time how many military ballots might be coming in before they come in, Julie?
Yeah, in this election, we'll probably have less than 20.
Okay.
But in presidential elections, that could be upwards of a couple hundred. There weren't really many close races. Now, I didn't look at all the school board races. I have to admit, township, I didn't dig into those weeds this morning. But when you look at like the mayor race up in Harrisburg, 83 votes. Certainly, 83 votes till you reconcile provisionals and mail-ins. Maybe could change the outcome. Don't know, right?
Yeah.
Can't predict. But, in those races where it's a tight spread, those few ballots that continue to come in could change the balance of the...
Really interesting. Of course, the district attorney's race last night, a big win there for Tim Barker on the Republican side over Mr. Graybill. And so it looks like he's going to be our district attorney now, the permanent one rather than just the one that was kind of stepping in for Dave Sunday.
Yeah, and the same goes for those other countywide officers. So the coroner, the controller, and the recorder of deeds. There was no candidates running on the Democrat side. So in essence, the general election should be pretty smooth for those folks. And the two judicial candidates, right? Paul Minnick and Chris Farrow. Yeah. So they can all breathe a sigh of relief. So their campaigning, in essence, ended last night.
Pretty much had a general election. And it's interesting in the... one with Graybill and Barker, because Graybill could actually, if he won on the cross-filing on the Democratic side, he could actually be the Democratic candidate running in the general election, right? But if Barker wins that, if he wins the cross-filing race as well, then the election pretty much is over there, right?
Well, the district attorney can't cross-file.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, the judges can. Right. It's really it's interesting. The judicial candidates
I did not know that.
And the school board candidates can cross-file.
Yeah.
Now, in essence, you could also, if somebody wrote your name in and you got enough write-ins to be on the ballot, certainly that people have done that in the past.
So you could have a rematch of those two with a write-in vote kind of scenario there. Okay. Yeah. All right. Hey, see, you taught me something this morning. I did not know that. So
there you go.
I have already learned something from a sleepy Julie Wheeler today. Even on your sleepy days, you're ahead of me, Julie. So there you go. Hey, well, thank you for taking time to be with us this morning. Really appreciate you getting up because I know you were out late last night and had to. You have a rule. You're the last one to leave. So
I don't think it's fair to our employees who are there working. If I could just give one shout out to our election staff and also the employees who helped the election staff make yesterday successful, and our folks that work at the polls, because without those individuals, we would not run successul elections.
I'll tell you what, the polls I go to, the people are wonderful. They really help you. There's always a smile, a handshake. I mean, I love it. So it's and it's just, you just reminded every time it's the great freedom that we have here in this country. And I know it sounds corny to say, but it's so true that not to exercise that is to waste the freedom that we've been given and people have fought for over the years. So really good stuff. And thank you for doing a great job on it. Again, you and all the volunteers I know that are part of that. Really appreciate what you all do.
You bet.
Thanks, Julie. Get some sleep.
Have a great day, Gary.
We'll talk to you next week, okay? Take care.
Gotcha. Bye-bye.
Julie Wheeler, President Commissioner of the York County Commissioners, with us here this morning on the Gary Sutton Show. So the election is here now. They got more work to do in the next coming days. I like the fact she was talking about all the things they have to reconcile, Mark, and make sure everything fits and works out and all that. So there's a lot more to it than what we think. We'll be back in just a moment here with some final stories, some final thoughts, maybe a few humorous things, maybe some news you might have missed. I haven't gotten to that yet this morning. All straight ahead on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and.
I know this song. I know the Chico and the Man.
Yep.
Freddie Prince, who died way too soon.
You know, it was James Comack created the show, and he did a lot of.
And of course, the singer of the song,
Jose Feliciano. But Della Reese was in it. I mean, Jack Albertson actually was the star, and Freddie Prince, who tragically took his own life.
Yes, he did. Yeah, it was sad.
But I like this song. So that ends TV show TV theme Wednesday.
Sadly, it ends.
Yes,
yeah,
it goes out.
I just I'm just having a momentary bit of
Gestalt.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Gestalt.
It's not what you were going to say.
I couldn't, whatever.
Goodness.
Yeah. It's,
all right.
There you go. So what do you have?
So, all right. So let's see. Remember when I was doing the stories about lawsuits?
Yes.
Unusual things in lawsuits. We had one that had to do with, was the wrong organ taken out?
Yes. Not good.
Right. The other one was some kids made a mural. And it was about a bakery, but apparently the town had a rule or a law about you couldn't put advertising up on like more than the size of a sign. And this thing was like part of a building.
Right.
And so they had to go to court. This lawsuit is about, of all things, onions?
The man claims the fast food chain ignored his no onion request, causing the reaction and leading to medical treatment. The lawsuit requests monetary relief of at least $250,000, but less than $1 million. Whataburger isn't commenting, but denies the allegations in a court filing. He filed a similar lawsuit against Sonic last year, alleging that onions in a burger served there made him sick. Gary Baumgarten, Fox News.
You ever get that? You ever order a burger and then they bring it and it's not what you asked for?
I have.
And?
I send it back. I know a lot of people that don't. If it's not what I want, I send it back because that's the honest way to do it.
Now, I can tell you that when I was, I'm trying to think of how old I was, 16 maybe?
Yeah.
I worked in a burger joint that, and it was a franchise, but it no longer exists. Went out of business long ago.
Okay.
And I remember watching, like my manager training me, and this, you're not going to like this story.
No.
But a woman said that, she ordered extra onion, and normally the onion that they put on is like a chopped onion, finely chopped onion. So they just put, they sprinkled a little bit more on it. Well, she was angry when she came back. She said, I asked for more onion and, I didn't get it. And then the guy was explaining, well, we put, 2 servings of what we normally put on your.
Sure.
Well, she wasn't buying it. So she kind of like, dressing down the guy.
Yeah.
So he said, well, do you still want extra onions? And she said, yes. And he said, I'll be right back. And he.
Oh, no.
He went back. He put a big fistful of onions.
Here are your onions.
And yes. And she was, again, not happy.
Did she not react terribly well to that?
Not terribly well, but,
Yeah.
it was just like that. What did you say? Waiters and waitress day?
Tip staff day.
Yeah. So, it's the kind of thing that would come up there.
Well,
hey,
I wanted to leave you with 2 good stories here today at the end.
That'd be great.
And they're both, I don't know if they're tear jerkers, but the one, I'm going to tell you the one. It's a dog's final meal. And Texas Roadhouse fulfills a customer special request, his dog's last meal. Hunter Metzger ordered his dog Iris's final meal from Texas Roadhouse. He was blown away by the restaurant's response. Hunter Metzger, an Ephrata, Pennsylvania resident, placed an order at his local Texas Roadhouse that has touched hearts around the world. On April 19th, Iris, the family's 8-year-old Great Dane, was facing the last moments of her life, and they wanted to do something special for her. Little did they know they were going to receive that same grace back. about 3 weeks prior, she started having some health issues, breathing problems, Metzger tells Today.com, adding that they initially thought that the nearly 120-pound pup had a respiratory infection, so she went on antibiotics. That didn't make anything better. And so veterinarians eventually discovered that Iris had a tumor in her nose. No matter what they did, it wouldn't respond to treatment. So Metzger made the decision to euthanize her. Now, everybody loves their pets, and if you've ever had to make that tough decision, you want them to be able to go down with some semblance of dignity, said Metzger. We want to hold on as long as possible, but it's not always fair to the animal. That last day, lots of friends and family came by and gave Iris treats, pats, cuddles. At dinner time, Metzger decided to place an order at Texas Roadhouse for his dog's final meal, an 8-ounce thick cut New York strip steak, steak fries, mashed potatoes, and freshly baked bread. I put in an online order, and they have a special request field, and we all, got our fields getting ready to say goodbye to our dog. Mm-hmm. That's when Kate Weston, the Texas Roadhouse kitchen manager, came up and basically said, my go-to team actually saw the message, and they said, oh, my God, we need to make sure that this is the best meal that they've ever had. And so they brought this meal out to the dog, and the staff members wrote him a note of condolence on receipt paper and added, made with love, in an on-the-go container. So it just blew us away, said Metzger, and the last meal was a very special one from Texas Roadhouse.
See, there's an example of, tip staff or, people service exactly the opposite, going a little bit extra.
They said we make all of our customers feel special, and none more special than this dog Iris on her final meal. And again, very sad, but also a nice touch of class and grace at the end of all that.
Amen.
Coming up tomorrow, we've got, Dennis Owens checking in with us at 7:35 on all the things that are going on. I'm sure you'll have some thoughts on the election and a little bit about the national politics that are happening as well. So he'll take that on at 7:35 tomorrow. We'll also update you on all the news that's happening. Hopefully we'll have a Revs score for you tomorrow, Revs win again. And then Aaron Anderson checks in at 8:35 tomorrow as well. And I've still got some other guests to kind of paste in there for tomorrow. So we've got a lot coming your way. Well, who knows? That's the nice thing. You can find out when you join us here 6 to 9 weekdays. It's the Gary Sutton Show right here on WOYK. I'm also going to be anxious to see what you think. The Gary Sutton Show, is it better than the Main Street of America, York County? You tell me on our Facebook page. Have a great day, everyone. It is 9 o'clock.